Hi, I'm Stephanie Skinner from Culture Media, and thank you for joining us for this counterculture featuring products brought to you by Foods from Spain. This is an exciting and unique counterculture featuring new faces and old friends. And today we will be sampling some of the best cheeses, olive oils, and even boquerones from Spain. We have a lot to learn today with 4 presenters. There will be some video and PowerPoint presentations, all of which have been sent to you already. Before we get started, let's go over a few items. This presentation should be in speaker view mode automatically, but if not, please put it in speaker view. There is a Q&A button on either the top or side of your screen. Please post questions and comments there. I will be reviewing them as we go along, and I will ask them to the presenter who is presenting at the time as appropriate. If we have time, and if we didn't get to your question, during the individual presentations, we will have a Q&A period at the end. And of course, as always, you can reach out to these presenters afterward, in real life, actually. You can also use the chat function, which I will also monitor. We love to hear what you think, what you suggest for pairings and these uses for these products. And all questions are good questions, so please ask away. And finally, you will receive a survey. You will receive a survey after this counterculture. Please help us to continue getting better by filling it out. So let's get to it. First up is Jeffrey Shaw, director, who is going to fill us in on Foods from Spain. Take it away, Jeffrey.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you to Counterculture. And importantly, thank you for being here with us today. Now, for hundreds of years, Spain has been the crossroad of civilizations, centuries-old traditions, which are kept alive and reimagined in its food. And we are very pleased to share with you some of the very good olive oils. There are a few you're going to try today, some tasty cheese, and delicious boquerones, anchovies. And with this, let's get started.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria Reyes. I'm the Vice President responsible for the U.S. market for Casas de Waldo North America. It is a pleasure to be with you today. We're going to spend the next few minutes talking about the amazing Casas de Waldo extra virgin olive oil and additional products that you will see today, exciting, wonderful products from Spain. So let's get started since we only have a few minutes. Next slide, please. So I'm going to start with just a couple of data points here. Premiumization and cooking at home is a growing global trend. This was a study that was done by Euromonitor, and it is so true today more than ever. 66% of consumers are willing to pay more for sustainable, ethical products that respect nature. You're going to see a lot of that here today. Premium extra virgin olive oil consumption is expected to increase by 44% over the next 5 years. By the way, this has already been true over the last 5 or 6 years, where the premium sector of the olive oil section and category has been increasingly in a positive manner over the last few years. And 57% of consumers are willing to pay more for high quality products. Also very true, proven by the incredible growth of specialty foods over the last year and over the last several years, but specifically as of today, it sits at $170 billion of sales. Next slide, please. We're not going to go over all of this, but you wonder, this is part of the presentation when I speak to many retailers across the country about my brand. Why Spanish extra virgin olive oil? Why today? Well, Spain is a little behind the Italian products, right? That's not a secret. And it's unfortunate, but we're going to change that. And we are changing it because the products from Spain are amazing. There's a campaign going on right now where you will see Jose Andres saying Spain is the richest country in the world, meaning from a product, what they have to offer. They're amazing, amazing products. So did you know also that Spain is the largest producer of olive oil in the world? The majority of the product comes from Spain. It is due to the specific climate and soil conditions, why there are so many incredible oils. But most consumers in the US don't even know that, because what happens is that the product that we normally find in the marketplace, this is not what we're talking about here today, okay? So we're not here to bash any product. We're here to talk about the wonderful attributes of Spanish product. There's a lot of specific varieties, olive varietals that grow in Spain. We'll talk about one of these, Casas de Gualdo oil, Corne Cabra, which is unique. It's a DOP product from the Castilla-La Mancha Toledo region of Spain, which is about an hour away from Madrid. As Spanish cuisine has evolved progressively over the last several years, and we can see that by how many Spanish restaurants there are nowadays. And we can see the popularity of the restaurants from Jose Andres specifically. Expansion of Spanish cuisine, the chefs, the Michelin star chefs like Ferran Adrià and Jose Andres, the founder of World Central Kitchen. First place international competitions are mainly occupied by Spanish brands, including top winners in the World Best Olive Oil competition 2019-2020. 8 of the top 25 products that won were Spanish, including the #1 ranked item. So just some points here to keep in mind as we talk about these products today. So next slide, please. Okay. 4 reasons why Casas de Gualdo. This is a condensed presentation, so bear with me here. But #1, single estate. Single estate equals full traceability, which equals complete quality control from tree to bottle. We bottle our product on demand. So full traceability between the time that the olives are harvested to the time that the product goes on the bottle. By the way, we're not going to be doing an official tasting here today, so feel free to open the bottles and smell them and even try them as I talk here in order to save time. So low acidity, what does that mean? Low acidity is a direct derivative of the superior quality of the fruit. As an example, our Arbequina, the acidity based on chemical tests that are done every year, the acidity on the Arbequina sits at 0.09, so under 1. The acidity ranges between our products is between 0.09 to 0.16, and the norm is 0.4. And just to give you an idea what that means, in order to be called extra virgin with no defects, you must be at 0.8 or lower. So that kind of gives you the incredible quality and the low acidity rate of our oils. By the way, our oils in the front of every label, it says, and if you have a bottle in front of you, it says at the bottom, cold extraction within 6 hours of harvest. And the reason we put that on the label is because it's true. We own the mill. The mill resides in the middle of our 10,000 acre farm, where we have 300,000 trees of 4 different varietals, Arbequina, Pecual, Corne Cabra, and Manzanilla Casareña. So that's very important, how we control the entire process. Spoken to on #1, right? The full traceability, because we own every step of the process. The land, the trees, the olives, and the mill. It is also a close agricultural. It is a working farm. It's a close agriculture. We do not bring olives from any other farm. Everything is grown in our estate. We also grow organic fruits and vegetables, grains, pistachios, so many different products. Is wonderful. We have a herd of 2,000 sheep. We're going to see that in the next slide. High polyphenol contents. Before we move from this slide, by the way, we have all of our oils have a high content of polyphenols. And what that means, what is polyphenols? Polyphenol is the healthy attributes of the antioxidants. When you taste a robust oil like our Corne Cabra, which is the pink orange label you will see there, if you have a bottle with you, that most of the time that makes people cough. And the reason for that is that high content of polyphenol, that is a wonderful benefit, because that is just the healthy attributes just going down your throat and into your stomach. And it's wonderful. It could be used medicinally. We can't say that here in the US, right? The FDA doesn't let us. The FDA also doesn't let us put the content of polyphenol on the label. In Europe they do, but not here in the US. and that's unfortunate. What we're going to see here today is 3 products, but we have an enormous range of product of 14 different products, including casitas, which is an oil for children, our manzanilla, our DOP con cabra. We have a reserva, an organic, and a couple of other items as well. Next slide, please. So again, we're not going to go through all this, but I thought I touched on a few points already. And if you're not convinced yet, right? Why Casas de Jualdo, a 10,000-acre farm. We have 2 solar panel plants. One was built 3 years ago. The second one was just completed. And the third one will be completed next summer. And by the time that's completed, we will have roughly, I believe the number is 90% of the energy required to run the farm and the estate will be clean energy from these solar panels. We take many steps for our sustainable farming practices and regenerative farming practices, like the pits of the olives, the reprocesses and used for heating. The trimmings from the trees are mulch. The olive trees have to be trimmed every year. So that trimmings are mulch and put back into the ground, given back to the soil. Here you see also where we conduct tests with the university in the right location, right way to plant our trees and doing studies for also with different varietals. And here you see the herd of 2,000 Manchega sheep. We're about to complete our plant to be able to make our own cheese, which will be launching very soon. And this is going to be DOP, 100% grass-fed Manchega sheep cheeses. Like I mentioned, full traceability, year-round tree maintenance. So much to talk about. It's virtually impossible to talk to you about this in just a few minutes. Next slide, please. These are the 3 oils that we sent to you. What we have here is basically, we're not going to do a formal tasting here. If you're interested in a formal tasting, I'm more than happy to do this for you in a more slower pace and more relaxed way. Please feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to do that. But what we have here is the Arbequina, which is, these are just 3 awards listed here that we won over the last couple of years here in the US specifically. I don't have here the awards that we won worldwide in different competitions, but our Arbequina is the mildest oil that we have. It is an oil that can be substituted for butter when baking. It's wonderful to use for that. Our Pequal, which has won in the Flores de Soleil, has been scored 99 out of 100 points, which sits, Flores de Soleil is a guide of the top 500 olive oils in the world. And Pequal and our Reserva has also been scored 99 out of 100 points. So we're waiting for this year's results to see what happens. Pequal is more of a medium intensity product. Our Pequal, it's been said that when a Pequal is made right, it is a very, very good oil. When it's not made right, it is not such a good oil. So our Pequal is very, very special. And then Corne Cabra, which is a DOP, meaning designated product of origin, from the Castilla-La Mancha Toledo regions. It's an olive varietal that is native from that area. It is our most robust oil. It is wonderful oil drizzled on any soups and pasta dishes. These oils, any of these oils can be used from morning to night, from your morning smoothie to your lunch salad, to your grilled steak, to your ice cream, vanilla ice cream. It's wonderful. If you haven't tried it, I would encourage you to do that. Next slide, please. And this is actually my final slide with my contact information. Again, if you have any interest in talking with me further, I have a more in-depth presentation, and we can also do a personal one-on-one tasting together to be able to ask questions in a more relaxed setting. And you're going to see a lot of wonderful presentations here following me. Like I said, I'm a big fan of foods from Spain and the products from Spain and the Mediterranean region. So any questions? I'm here for you. I appreciate your time today.
Hey, Maria, we do have a question from JB. How does the CDH acidity range correlate, if at all, to pH? And what does it mean in terms of the flavor?
That's a great question. And honestly, one that I can answer because I'm not a chemist, but I would be more than happy to get that information. How it relates to the pH, I can't answer that. But I will tell you that the acidity levels here has to do with the way that we handle the fruit and the continuous, very stable process, 12-month process, and the care of that fruit. And all of our oils, really, they're all early harvest because we pick very green olives, which at the expense of a greater yield, when you pick and process a greener olives, you get a lower yield. A more mature olives, you get a greater yield. So there is a cost involved there. So the greener olives, that all helps with the intensity and the higher content of the polyphenols. But I can't answer, I'm sorry, I can't answer the pH. Be more than happy to get that information. It's a great question. I've never been asked, to be honest.
Okay, thank you. We do have another question, but I think I'm going to hold that to the end because we're
okay. No problem. Thank you for your time today.
So Jeffrey, I think.
Okay, we're on to our next presenter. And I hope, well, you received some samples of cheese, so you probably are better off than I have in trying them. Well, we have Michelle Buster from Forever Cheese that's going to share with us basically maybe why you should be having Quesos Los Cameros, Oveja Añejo. Hey, Michelle.
Hi. Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here today. I love this opportunity, and I have everything prepared for the presentation. I have my 2 cheeses. I have some accompaniments. I brought some great Mythica orange blossom honey. We have some Mythica fig almond cake to go with both cheeses, which is great. We have a pink grapefruit mostarda, which is not Spanish, but it will highlight fantastic these 2 cheeses that we have for you. And we will, without ado, just for those of you who might not know me, my name is Michelle Buster. I have been working in cheese since the early 90s. I co-own Forever Cheese with my partner, Pierluigi Cini. And every single day since I started, we have been curating, and it's our goal to always have the absolute best of the best from the countries that we work in, which is Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Croatia. We are very proud of our relationship directly with all of our producers, and look at our relationship as working hand in hand together, that it's not just buying and selling, but we want to know everything about them, about what they do, understand it, share it with you, and thus hopefully all of us will be better in our goal to sell the best products. Also, I'll talk a little bit about why this cheese and why we just it. And today, for the cheeses, last year we also did this and we focused on other cheeses from Los Cameros. So this year we've chosen their 2 quesos añejo. Añejo means 1 year aged. So you have, like in a lot of the cheeses, manchegos or whatever, you have semi-curado, which is medium aged, curado, aged, viejo, more aged or old, and añejo, 1 year. So let's, if you don't mind going to the next slide. Here we have some scenes from La Rioja. Today we're in La Rioja, and this is a pretty new area for cheese. I mean, I didn't start working with this. It's just been a few years ago. And one of our goals is to make sure we have cheeses from every single region. We feel that it's a better way to present the companies that we love, the countries, excuse me, that we love. And as we present to those of you who are going to have a selection in your cheese case, I think it's very important to represent different areas of the countries to show the terroir and what they can do. And today we have both a cow's milk cheese and a sheep cheese, although there's goats in here, we do goats and mixed milk cheeses from this company as well. Next slide, please. Here we are, they're in Aro. Rioja, as most of you know, is a big wine producing region. So it's a wonderful place to be in, to have both the cheese and wine together. And there's a lot of great terrain and terroir to be had for these animals. And I think this is one of the secrets to the cheeses and the special flavor that they all have. Next slide, please. Here we have some Asaf sheep, and they're very much responsible for the Oveja Añejo. Let me say that as I start to talk about the cheeses, please just start to taste them as I start to talk about them. And I'll point out some characteristics of them as well. Otherwise, I just go on very fast. I'm highlighting some mold because it's a very real and important part of aging cheese. It's part of the character of the cheese. and it helps define it and sometimes even into the flavors, which is there. And all this mold gets wiped down with olive oil when we go to make all of the cheeses that Los Cameros makes. Next slide, please. Here are the founders, Jesus and Justi. They founded this in the early 60s, and today continues on with their kids. It's Javier, Jesus, and Sonia, which I believe we're going to see next. And here we are, yeah. So Jesus, Sonia, and Javier. And so they've continued on with the tradition, very family oriented, just making traditional cheeses with the utmost care that I can see. And I'm still trying to figure out the secret ingredient that makes these cheeses have such unusual and wonderful flavor profiles. Next slide, please. Señor De Baca. This is brand new for us. It arrived mid-May. When I first tasted it, I was like, yes. Spain is a very rich country. There are so many cheeses. When we get to cow's milk, we have like the usual suspects. We have Mahon from the island of Menorca. We have Titilla, Arzuayoa, and San Simon from Galicia. And there's a bunch of little artisan cheeses here and there, but not that many super distinguished cow's milk cheeses. And this one just took my breath away. First thing is just looking at the rinds. I just always feel like the rinds remind me of jeans, not blue jeans, obviously, but they remind me this texture is so super cool. And they get this by just constantly rubbing it with olive oil. And I always feel like that it's just, you know, getting on snugly into their pair of jeans. That's the perfectly super cool rind to go with this wonderful cheese. So this is a 1-year aged cow's milk cheese from a single herd of Friesian cows. And it was something that, you know, Javier was kind of like, it was like a challenge. Let's see what you could do to make a really amazing cow's milk cheese, a little bit different and out of your comfort zone. We want a more international style. And I've just been eating away at this. It like smells like hazelnuts. It has an aroma of butter. There's such sweetness in here. And I just think it's like caramel. And the crazy thing is I can't give you a retail price because you'll be buying this from different distributors, but it's such a value cheese. It's super value oriented. It's beautiful, sexy, and for me, just tastes dynamite. It'll be fantastic with any of the accompaniments that I told you, but it just truly distinguishes itself in both the aromas and the flavor profile. And I think it's extremely accessible for a lot of other people. I brought today, I love chiseling cheese. So either with a pecorino knife, or this is one of the knives I got from my friends at Bosca. I've just been chiseling out to accentuate the crystals that go with the tyrosine in the paste of the cheese. And I just think it helps bring out all the flavors and the aromas, just like when we're cracking a wheel of Reggiano with those knives that bring and open up the aromas. Something fun I want to mention that this company did during the pandemic, and they set up what they call a punto lacteo. So they set up like this area by which a lot of the small farmers were having trouble bringing their milk to the plant. They couldn't get out, they couldn't move around, they couldn't circulate. So in order to ease the hardship, Los Cameros set up these little tanks so people could bring their milk to the tank, it would be refrigerated, and then Los Cameros would send a truck to pick up the milk from them. And this had made it so much easier for everybody to bring their milk to market. And they're hoping to grow this and do it on a more regular basis in much areas. They have 5 right now. And I think that's a really admirable thing that they did. It was a very smart way to help people out and help the farmers. Next slide, please. Here we have some Friesian cows. This is one of the guys who is responsible for this terrific cheese. Next slide, please. We're on to sheep. Those of you who know me know how much I love sheep. So for me to go on and on about a cow's milk is notable itself. But we've sold the, oh, that's still a Baca. Shows me how I can read with here. Can we go to the next slide, please? Here we go. So this is something we love to do with our cheeses. We love to rip them. Again, we take like a Parmigiano or Pecorino knife and we rough cut them. And for those of you who are cutting to order in your service case, it just is really visually gorgeous and helps people stop and say, oh, what is that? And I just think it's just like our thing, which we love to do when we show and we do events. And if you're cutting it, even if you're cutting and wrapping it, although it's harder if you're doing a cut and wrap because the air will get in too much. So it's a smooth cut is better for that one. This cheese we've been selling for about a year and a little bit more. And I know there's a lot of sheep's milk cheeses out there, but they just don't all taste like this. This is like a smoky quality to it, still with all that butter in the middle. And there's this single herd of Asaf. It's really made me have a lot more respect for the Asaf sheep because before I knew that they produced a lot of milk. But thank you, cheesemakers and Javier and Jesus, for making something that has such a distinct flavor. So if you're going to do another sheep cheese and have something from Rioja, what better than to have something with this smoky nature to it? And they don't smoke it. And I keep asking them, tell me your process. What do you do? What is your secret? But it must be terroir plus recipe plus tradition plus wiping it down, lovingly on the rind with olive oil, but just to get these incredible flavors here. Get all that lactic butter and just super terrific as I am sharing the cheese all over the floor with me too. Let's see some other photos that we have. Here are some of the happy Asaf sheep who are there. It's a single herd, just like the other was. This was the first one to do it, just a single herd of Asaf sheep. They only make a limited number of 10,000 wheels per year, and then that's it, and there's no more. The next slide, please. Here again, you can see the whole rind, but of course you have your piece. I hope you've been able to taste it, but here you can see it's a edición limitado, so each one has a number on the wheel so that you know what you've gotten here. Number 5,694, right in the middle. And also it says that the rind is a natural rind and it's been rubbed with olive oil. Next slide, please. So this is what we have for you today. 2 amazing cheeses, both of them really great values. From the area of La Rioja in Spain. And thank you so much for listening.
Quick question. This is Stephanie again. Quick question for you, Michelle, comes from Erica. Are the olive oils rubbed on the cheese specifically from that region?
They make their own olive oils. So yes, it is.
Wow.
They've sent me a couple of times these wonderful, I think the blend was, the varietal was Royal. That comes from it. Let me check. Mario can write in. He's listening. It's always your olive oil, correct? Yes, it is.
Terrific. Thank you, Michelle. I think Jeffrey, we're back to you.
Thank you, Michelle. I envy those of you who have had the opportunity to taste that cheese. I'm already hungry for more cheese. Not that I'm having any right now, but I will. Olive oil. As you've heard, Spain produces a lot of olive oil, but also some very, very good olive oil, as different contests have shown. And today we have a very unique one from a totally different region of Spain, from Andalusia. Oro del Desierto literally means gold from the desert. And with this, I want to introduce Joanne Lacina from Olive Oil Lovers, Sungrow Foods, who's going to share with us this wonderful olive oil. And by the way, she is one hell of a taster and discerner of olive oil.
Oh, no pressure there. Thank you, Jeffrey. I am Joanne Lacina, the president of Olive Oil Lovers. We are the exclusive importers for Oro del Desierto, an organic olive oil producer from southern Spain and the makers of this amazing internationally awarded olive oil, their coupage. So I do invite you, because we will be just I'll be walking you through a little bit of a tasting at the end. So if you could just pour a little bit into the cup that I provided to you, you can kind of smell it a little bit while we're talking, and I will walk you through a little bit of a tasting at the end. Next slide, please. So we are partners with Oro del Desierto. We have been partners with them since the beginning in 2012 when we met at a trade show and fell in love with his oils, his story, and his passion. That's Rafael Alonso in the photo with myself. He's the export manager, and this is from one of our visits to their farm. We were really looking for the industry's most outstanding producers in an effort to bridge the connection between farmers and consumers. Today, we work with over 40 producers, and we're proud that Oro del Desierto was one of the first that we began working with. We have personally visited him multiple times, and as you'll see in our video that we'll show here shortly, and today they're one of the most top-rated and awarded producers, not just in Spain, but in the world, and currently exporting to over 35 countries. Next slide, please. Here on the map, you can see where they are located in southern Spain, in Tabernas near Almeria in the south. It is the only desert. They're actually located in a desert. It's the only desert in Europe, the sunniest and least rainy place in the country. It's actually where a lot of spaghetti westerns were filmed, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And you can even go visit the film set for that if you ever go visit their farm. But their grove is really like an oasis in the desert. You can even kind of see it behind me. It's really amazing. You're driving through the desert and then you kind of enter this, the mountains sort of part, and you see their beautiful olive groves that are very much protected from the harsh outside influences, hence their name, Gold of the Desert. The farm even has an olive oil museum, restaurant, and guest rooms for visitors. Next slide, please. So this is really a company, a family-run company in the truest sense. The land has been in the family for 7 generations. Today, the company is run by Rafael Jr., the eldest son. His brother is the master miller. His mom there in the top photo runs the kitchen in the restaurant. His wife works in the office while she's, also watching the children. And the father, the patriarch, Rafael Sr., comes from a very long line of traditional farmers, and he was responsible for reinventing their farm in 1995 when they restored and fully modernized the on-site mill. So not the mill you see in the picture back there, that's the museum mill, but they have a very state-of-the-art mill today. Next slide, please. So Rafael Sr.'s dream was really to have a 100% organic farm, just as his ancestors once did, to really produce a high quality and affordable product. The farm is very biodiverse. It includes almond trees, vines, olive trees, horses, livestock, ducks. It was organic certified in 1995, which was definitely not a trend in Spain 25 years ago, and all of his neighbors thought that he was crazy at the time, but clearly he knew what he was doing. The farm is very sustainable operation. The mill and farm run on 100% solar power. They reuse 100% of their natural waste as fertilizer and biomass. They have sheep and horses running around the farm to control the weeds and actually naturally prune the olives. They also have a patented underground drip irrigation system that to avoid evaporation and save water. And even the olive oil that is used in the restaurant is reused as biofuel. Next slide, please. So the result is really high quality from extraordinary passion. All products are from organically grown olives that are harvested at their optimum ripeness to obtain that higher content of polyphenols, those natural antioxidant compounds that Maria spoke about earlier that really prolong the shelf life of the oil as well. Which is really a major selling point of their oil and why so many of our customers love their oil. The olives are harvested very early when they're still quite green, and they are transported to their on-site mill within just a few hours of picking, always cold extracted under 80 degrees. So really the olives are transformed into olive oil generally within 5 to 6 hours from harvesting, so from tree to tank. So in the next slide, we will watch a short video to give you a little behind the scenes look from a recent visit to our farm during the harvest season.
When we found water, we found the main resource, the gold of the desert. We say, oh, brand is gold of the desert, oro del desierto.
Not because of the oil, but because of the water.
Exactly.
We're surrounded by mountains and you have sort of this bit of oasis.
It's an advantage to be here because we're next to the mountains. We're 600 meters over the level of the sea and surrounded by mountains. So it means our estate is isolated from any other farmers, which helps us to produce organic without any risk of contamination. We decided to make it organic production since the first day. So it's 22 years now. Most of the people here say we were crazy, that we will ruin the farm, that the trees will die and all that, but still they're there.
Oh,
Look nice.
beautiful.
You know, we go for different cultivars. These are Arbequina, Picual, Hojiblanca, and Lechín, which is a local variety.
What's the time between gathering all these olives and crushing them at your mill right here?
Well,
right behind us?
because it is by the side, maybe, I don't know, 3-4 hours after. Freshness at the end of the day is the most important thing to produce a wonderful quality olive oil, as you know. 63 years old. My father is a super farmer. He's always having new ideas. Incredible. Incorporated the horses in the farm as a way to control the herbs. They don't touch the trees. They don't like the olives. Very selective. They're very happy, wild, flip it away.
When we say natural herbicide, it's quite literally.
It is.
But as natural as you get.
It's a very special way to do it. Very uncommon, again. But who said it's going to be common?
So here we have the full range of oils from Oro del Desierto. They're gold of the desert. As he states in the video, they produce 4 monocultivars, Arbequina, Hojiblanca, Picual, and the local variety Lechín, each one with their very signature aromas and flavor profiles. And then of course their coupage, which is their best-selling oil in the range. All the products have won many international awards, over 300 to date. They are all certified USDA organic with BPA-free packaging. Oro del Desierto is also part of the QV Extra Association, which guarantees the highest level of quality from production to the final consumer. Next slide. And here we have the Oro del Desierto coupage, which you all hopefully have a sample of. This is really their signature oil, their best-selling, most awarded oil. It is a varietal blend of organic Arbequina, Hojiblanca, and Picual olives that are specially crafted by the master miller, the sun, every year to create the most balanced and harmonious flavor profile. The olives for the coupage are picked early in the season from the end of October to the beginning of November. This results in an olive oil that is very low in acidity and very high in polyphenols, the natural antioxidants, and is really loved by many health-conscious consumers for this reason. The oil has received many international awards, most recently a gold award at the New York International Olive Oil Competition. They were most recently voted the best extra virgin olive oil from organic farming in the 2020 Floss Olay Guidebook, where the farm does have a rating in the book of 99 out of 100. Next slide. So I hope you all have poured a little bit into your cup, and I just kind of want to walk you through a brief tasting. This is how we taste olive oil. So if you would just cover the top of the cup with your one hand and kind of warm it with the bottom of your hand here to sort of lock in and release those aromas. And you can then take a smell. And it's just so lovely. Like right away, I just get garden tomatoes, which I just love this oil for that. And of course, the signature kind of freshly cut grass, which is just a aroma of a fresh oil, green olives. You do get some of that citrus, those citrus notes in there, and some dried fruit notes. It has a very, very lovely aroma. And then to taste, you just take a little bit into your mouth, just a little bit, because it is a bit of a robust oil. And then you will kind of swirl it on your tongue. And you can just taste it that way or take in a little bit of air, as I'll demonstrate here. So right away, it's just filling up your mouth. You may even cough a little bit. It's okay. Just take a little water. And you'll really feel a bit of that bitterness on the side of your tongue or the roof of your mouth, as well as the pungency in the back of the throat. And those are those polyphenols, a sign of a really great, fresh, healthy oil. And again, a signature of freshness, and will have a very nice long shelf life when stored properly in a cool, dark place. So this oil is really used primarily as a finishing oil to enhance the flavors of a dish, because it's so tomato forward. It's just put it on anything tomato. It's great for tomato sauces, on a fresh garden tomato salad, which is perfect for this time of year. I love it on pan tumaca, the traditional bread that they eat for breakfast in Spain, with the grilled bread and garlic and tomato and maybe some jamon. Cold soups like gazpacho or salmorejo, or some of the cheeses. Please try on some of the cheeses that Michelle just showed you, and see how it holds up. That would be lovely. Or just enjoy it with a piece of simply grilled or toasted bread. So I really hope that you enjoyed this tasting today. You can show the last slide. It's a really wonderful oil. I'm happy to answer any questions you have at the end of this presentation. And you can also contact us directly at sales@oliveoillovers.com for more information. And thank you for your time, and back to you, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Joanne. Have me salivating for a good olive oil. I definitely love it with breakfast. I can tell you that. I make it even simpler. Just ground tomato, a good olive oil, mix it up, and on some good, hearty artisanal bread.
Yes, beautiful.
You want the olive oil to sing.
Exactly.
Okay, on to our next product. Some of you may have been to Spain, and if you haven't, I would encourage you to visit, especially when we get out of this very restrictive time that we're living in, but it will be over. And one of the things that you taste at different places where you go get a drink, a beer, a caña, or a glass of wine, a very traditional tapa is boquerón, which is an anchovy that is served with vinegar. And anyway, we have here Kim and David, who are going to share with us what they bring. So they may actually make it possible for you to access this delicacy here. Over to you, David and Kim.
Hello, my name is Carrie Kimball, and this is my husband, David Yor, and our company's Philosophy Foods, and we work with, I believe, 7 Spanish growers and producers now, which we import into Queens, New York. We're actually from Brooklyn, although we're visiting our mother-in-law today, so she's hosting our virtual webinar here. And we are working, in addition to Bahia de la Concha, which Dave is going to tell you more about, we're working with Omed olive oils, Vega Mancha Manchego, La Brujula, Conservas La Brujula, and that's just to name a few. So I'm going to let David tell you a little bit about Bahia de la Concha, the boquerones, and the anchoas. And then at the very end, if we have time, I made just a couple very quick tapas that we can talk about and show you how easy it is to use these products. And they taste good on their own, but they also taste good when you sort of mash them all together a bit.
Great. Thank you, Carrie. So we're going to talk about Bahia de la Concha, which is named after the famous beach in San Sebastian that looks like a conch. If you guys ever see photos, I'm sure that you've seen that. But we're also going to talk about why these anchovies are believed to be one of the best in the world. And with that, we're going to talk about 3 different things. 1, the raw product itself. 2, the production processes from the company. And 3, just the gastronomic traditions of the Basque region that play into making such great products from that area. So we're talking about anchovies. These anchovies start off coming north in the Atlantic, following the currents and the nutrients up from Portugal. It makes a hard right in Galicia, and then they start heading towards France. And that area, the North Atlantic, is called the Bay of Biscay. And throughout, the albacore tuna are chasing the anchovies through this whole process. This time of year, starting in maybe 1 or 2 weeks, I believe, is the start of the anchovy season in the Basque region. This is when the fish are the most abundant and also the largest and the best time to catch them. Why are anchovies from this region so important is because these waters are, one, very nutrient rich, 2, very cold, and 3, very low in salinity. So what that means, the fish itself are moving a lot, and these are small fish. So the more they move, the better the texture and the meatier and actually the larger size of the anchovies they can grow. Compared to, say, Mediterranean anchovies, where it's very salty and warm weather, nice to swim in, but the anchovies tend to be a little bit smaller and maybe a little bit softer, mushier texture. So what's also very important in that region, all the way from Galicia across Cantabria to the Basque region, is the fishing infrastructure. So we were lucky enough to visit a few ports and fisheries in the region, and basically everything is bought at open air market. So the boats come in at certain times of the day with certain fish and the size of the boat. They get unloaded right away and basically put out into an open air auction. So manufacturers like Bahía de la Concha, or restaurant owners, or fish markets, or distributors, they can all go to the same auction and buy the same fish. So that infrastructure makes it very fast from the catch to the production, which obviously translates into a fresher product once we produce it. And Bahia itself, they have their own kind of quirks on how they purchase. So you can purchase basically from small boats, which are like 2 to 3 day boats, only fishing the local waters. And then they have much larger boats that go out further and come in at different auctions. So we're only purchasing from 2 to 3 day boats, and they are only purchasing the fish that come off the boat first. That's because it's a FIFO in reverse. They're pulling the fish that come off the boats first are the ones that were caught last. So most likely they would have been caught within a day. So that's talking a little bit about the raw product. You'll often see, since those bonito tuna are chasing the anchovies, that many producers that produce canned bonito will also produce boquerones. Bahía de la Concha is a little different from that. They concentrate on anchovies themselves. The other part of their business is making like pre-made fish pâtés, appetizers, kind of cooked product. Croquetas. Why that's important to us is the facility that it's produced in. So if you can imagine large tuna producers, which we've gotten to visit some very good ones in the past, it's a pretty large scale production, meaning these are big fish and they do pretty big volume. So it's more of a factory, but really nostalgic, beautiful 6-year-old factory you fall in love with. We're a little bit different at Bahia because their facility needs to be ultra clean, eat off the floor, because they're making further produced and cooked product in the same facility that they're making the boquerones. So really that helps, one, with the bacteria count. Just being in a cleaner facility keeps the product fresher and a longer shelf life. And they also have some materials or resources that maybe you wouldn't have in a tuna factory, like a blast freezer. So every further processed anchovy that comes into the States needs to be pre-frozen. Why is because the anisakis, which is a parasite that lives in the anchovy, which needs to be frozen to be killed. With Bahia's facility, they're able to put it in a blast freezer and freeze the anchovies whole, when many other producers have to fillet the anchovies first, which also adds more bacteria every time you touch it, and then freeze it before they pack it. So we get a very healthy 6-month shelf life from production on our boquerones, when a lot of other producers will just get 4. We can sell it that quickly, that's not the problem, but it just also kind of speaks to the quality of the product. We make 2 different styles of anchovy. One is anchoa, which is the brown anchovy, and the other is boquerone. It's the same exact anchovy, but 2 different curing processes. So with the brown anchovy, that's done in salt. I believe, I should have looked this up before I did this, but it's 4 to 6 months that they're curing in salt. Obviously, there's different qualities, and it really depends on how long they're curing, how many of the bones they're actually taking out with literal tweezers. But you'll notice on ours, it's packed in plastic in your sample kits. And a lot of people ask us, why don't we do them in tins or jars? One is because all brown anchovies should be refrigerated throughout its whole existence. And you don't ever see that. They're always on shelves, on tins. These are called semi-preserved product. So there is a shelf life on a tin of anchovies. It's not like tuna, which is pasteurized and can go forever. So for us, we really want to show the retailer using it that these should be refrigerated, or even the restaurant, we put them in 1 kilo tubs to make sure that they stay in the refrigerator. So even if you're not buying ours and you buy a tin of tuna, or you're retailing a tin of tuna, it should be in your cold case. The other is, well, one more thing about brown anchovies. They have the highest amount of monosodium, natural monosodium glutenates of any other product on earth. That means it is the most umami you can get in a square inch. So naturally. So anytime you want to add umami to a dish, a brown anchovy should be one of your first thoughts. The ones that we sell, you probably wouldn't chop up and put in a soup or a stew. You would use these whole as a feature of whatever dish you're using. But it is a great way to get umami out of the dish. The other anchovy we sell are called boquerones, or white anchovies. These are anchovies that are just cured, we say semi-preserved, in vinegar quickly, and then stored in sunflower oil with a little bit of garlic and parsley. So one thing to really note when you're looking at our package of anchovies or boquerones, and if you open them up, is 1, the size, 2, the texture, they should be firm, but 3, the curing process. You'll see the bloodline, that little brown line that goes around the spine. For us, that shows that we are curing these by hand with great care. You'll see cheaper boquerones that are pure white. And at first, without education, you might think, hey, that's the nicer looking, the more desirable. But really what they're doing is just burning the anchovy with vinegar and hiding all the imperfections. You really, whether it's our brand or somebody else's, you really want to kind of look for that brown line that shows that they're taking great care in the curing process. When you see smaller anchovies that are half the size and pure white, and maybe from South America or sometimes the Mediterranean, that usually means they're buying from larger boats, a lot of probably bycatch in the catch, and you know, we're going to be more expensive, so we never sell on on price. But we really call it two different animals. It's not the same product that you're selling.
Do you want to say something quickly about the new popo coming out?
Yeah, well, we don't have it yet, but the company, as they do further processing and cooking, we are going to be introducing a pre-cooked tentacle of octopus, which we've gotten samples and almost ate all of them because they're delicious.
It also comes with the cooking liquid so that you can turn around and put that back in your rice. It's really phenomenal, or your beans or something. It's great.
Right. Which brings us to the third part, is the actual gastronomy and tradition of San Sebastian. I believe the Basque region has the highest concentration of Michelin stars of any region on earth. So obviously they know good food. But these products don't necessarily need to only be in avant-garde cooking. If you go through like the old town of San Sebastian, is kind of a Gothic walk of all these pincho bars, and traditionally you would go to maybe 5 or 6 pincho bars, have a drink and a snack. A pincho is a tapa, but in the north of Spain, they basically put a toothpick on it, and it's their own kind of regional specialties. So the anchovies themselves, they normally in Spain are eaten by themselves as a hors d'oeuvre or with a piece of bread, or on like a hilda, like Carrie just kind of showed. It doesn't have to be extravagant or in any avant-garde cooking. It's super easy to do at home. And if you ever go through that region, San Sebastian is beautiful and very cosmopolitan, but we really love to go to like Guetaria and the fishing villages that kind of neighbor that region. And you'll go to these very rustic asadores that they'll have, like, you know, one of those Argentine grills that you go up and down, and they're built into the side of the restaurant under these like really narrow alleys. And they'll have like all this fresh fish, including anchovies, turbot, lubina, and they'll prepare it very simply on the grill. They'll fillet it and then just olive oil, garlic, and parsley. And it's one of the most idyllic things that you'll ever get to experience. Hence, also why preserved seafood is so important in the north of Spain. Luckily, Carrie and I have that's all we've really sourced lately is seaweeds, conservas, fresh seafood, anchovies, salmon from Barcelona. It's really been like the focus of what we've been doing, and we didn't get to do it today, but we're really working on a seacouterie concept in which we're introducing lighter fare and preserved seafoods in the same process you would do like a cheese board or a charcuterie dish, and it's every time we've done it, we've gotten a great reaction. So if we
Yum.
together.
Yeah. Tag us in some seacouterie or photos. I have 1 minute to show the tapas that I made, Stephanie.
You might as well, since you made them, so you can make us all hungry. While you're doing that real fast too, Erica wants to know why sunflower oil for the versus any. Yep,
because in the cold case, olive oil congeals. So it doesn't look good in a retail format. That's why in the boquerones they use sunflower oil. But the brown anchovies are done with olive oil.
Awesome.
So here's some brown anchovies. I just replaced it with some of the Molino Arbequina olive oil that we have here. And then you can take a little dropper and you can do some, we like to do Omed Cabernet vinegar. We didn't have that with us today, so we just did a little bit of balsamic vinegar. Since we're sticking with balsamic vinegar, the oranges, do you want to hold that for me, please? Yeah. So we've just got some orange slices here with the boccheroni on top, and then you just drizzle a little bit, again, the balsamic vinegar for some color on top of that. You can even do like a sprig of rosemary or something to make it look nice. And then we've got our Losada olives and our Vega Mancha Manchego, organic 3 months. And we just did, like Dave said, just a little pincho here. So we did the anchovy, the olive, and the manchego. These things take no time to make. It's really just kind of opening things, slicing the cheese a bit, opening a jar of olives. And so you can, have someone over for aperitivo or happy hour and, spend 10 minutes shopping and spend, 10 minutes putting things together, and you've got something pretty great and substantial to feed people.
Yum.
That's it.
Thank you very much. This has
Yeah.
been absolutely fantastic.
Mhm.
Also now very hungry for all these products. Cheese, olive oil, anchovies. Really have a feast. Stephanie, any finishing thoughts?
Yeah, so
Basically-
quick, we are solidly at our 5 o'clock, but I do have a quick question for Maria. Someone has asked you to describe what the manzanilla is, please.
Manzanilla is an olive that's traditionally used as a table olive, and the farm experimented with this olive. Is this very small olive. Is a wonderful, wonderful oil. It is the oil that we have the least amount of because it's so special. But this year's harvest actually has a slight hint. It's very green, first of all, but this year's harvest actually has a slight taste of truffle. And it is an amazing, it's my favorite of the ones that we have, and it's an amazing, amazing product. Certainly we have availability of the product in our e-commerce shop and Amazon and with a couple of retailers as well.
Awesome. I actually have questions for everybody, but we are out of time. But I do want to ask one quick question also to David, because anchovies are so interesting and we don't talk about them very often. Is there an optimal size and age for the anchovy to be processed, or how you want to put it?
That's a good question. So they're selecting by size as well. So they're picking pretty much the largest that they can get at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And the age is more of the season, right? So the anchovy season starts, I think, within a week or so. So that's when they are. I think it also has to do with their spawning season, but that's when this is the best time. And actually, they purchase almost all of their anchovies now for the year during the season rather than buying off season. Since they have the blast chillers, they can hold it all year and as they need to.
Yeah, I was stunned by the size of they're quite remarkable. I could talk to all of you guys, and I can't wait to see you all in person, by the way. Thank you, Jeffrey, for putting together such an extraordinary group of presenters and products. This has been fascinating. I'm ready to go to Spain. So
Above all, I would like to thank the participants. Without them, we have nothing.
Mm-hmm. Fabulous. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, Jeffrey.
Bye.